The night had been eagerly anticipated for weeks. Emily's 25th birthday was around the corner, and her friends were determined to throw her a memorable party. Emily was well-loved, the kind of friend who'd show up at midnight if you needed a hand, the organizer of every road trip, the one who kept their college group together even years after graduation. So when Sarah, her best friend since high school, suggested hosting a surprise party at Emily's spacious old house on Maple Avenue, everyone jumped on board. Emily's parents were out of town for the weekend, making it the perfect opportunity to celebrate in a big way. Sarah took charge of planning. With the help of their mutual friends, she transformed Emily's house into a dazzling space. String lights were hung around the ceiling beams, colorful balloons and streamers added pops of color, and a rented DJ booth stood ready in the corner of the living room. Sarah even hired a bartender who specialized in trendy cocktails. They made sure the guest list was exclusive, inviting close friends and a few people from Emily's workplace. Yet, as is often the case with house parties, word got out. Friends invited friends, and by the time the party began, the RSVP list had tripled. Sarah, however, brushed it off, thinking the more the merrier. Emily arrived, genuinely surprised and thrilled by the party, and the festivities started with music, laughter, and dancing. But what began as a night of fun would soon spiral into a series of unforgettable mistakes, each adding to the chaos that would make this a night Emily would never forget. The evening started innocently enough, with people mingling, dancing, and taking selfies. The house was buzzing with energy. Emily, feeling grateful and loved, floated around, laughing with friends she hadn't seen in months, savoring every minute. She thanked Sarah a dozen times for pulling it all together. However, around midnight, the crowd grew too large. The house began to feel cramped, with people spilling out onto the front lawn and squeezing into the kitchen, where the bartender was rapidly mixing drinks. Someone had connected a massive set of speakers, doubling the volume, which amped up the atmosphere even more. But as the volume climbed, so did the electricity usage. Then came the first warning sign. The power cut out abruptly. The house plunged into darkness, the music stopped, and for a few seconds, there was silence as everyone's eyes adjusted. A few chuckles broke the tension, with someone joking, "Now that's a party." People whipped out their phones, using flashlights to illuminate the room as Sarah and a couple of others scrambled to check the fuse box. After some effort, they managed to get the lights back on, but the speakers remained out of commission. Emily was a bit rattled by the blackout, but Sarah reassured her with a grin. "Hey, just a little hiccup. We'll get the music back." And so, despite the technical difficulties, they turned up the charm, figuring it was nothing a few more drinks and laughter couldn't fix. But the blackout had cast a shadow of unease that hinted at more trouble to come. Meanwhile, Emily's laptop, which she had left on a side table, had been connected to the sound system before the power cut. In the dark, a guest mistakenly set their drink on the laptop instead of the table. The liquid seeped into the device, causing it to flicker and die. The birthday playlist was gone, along with any chance of streaming new music. Emily's face fell, but she brushed it off, trying to keep her spirits high. Her friend Alex stepped in, pulling out his guitar to offer an impromptu acoustic session, gathering a small crowd who cheered him on. The moment felt intimate, a reminder of the college nights they had spent together. But in the chaos, no one noticed that a few strangers had slipped into the house. They weren't familiar faces to anyone, but with the crowd so big, no one thought to question their presence. The strangers began blending in, taking advantage of the open bar, and stirring a subtle discomfort among a few people who felt something was off. In the middle of it all, Anna, one of Emily's friends from college, decided to liven things up with a dance-off. She led a group to the living room, urging them to join her for some freestyle dancing. Fueled by a few too many cocktails, Anna didn't notice the candle burning on the fireplace's edge. As she twirled, her elbow knocked it over, and the flame caught the edge of a curtain. For a split second, no one noticed the small flame creeping up the fabric until someone screamed, "Fire!" Panic spread instantly, with people stumbling back, creating a chaotic rush toward the exits. Sarah, acting quickly, grabbed a soda from the kitchen counter, and dumped it onto the flames. The soda extinguished the fire, but the damage was done. The burnt curtain left an acrid smell that filled the house, and the air was tense with the close call they had just experienced. Emily was visibly shaken. The party had already gone off course, but now it felt like a genuine disaster. She tried to laugh it off with her friends, but deep down, she was beginning to regret having agreed to such a large gathering. Just when the mood had started to settle, there was a loud knock on the front door. Everyone fell silent as Emily's next-door neighbor, Mr. Thompson, entered, visibly upset. "Do you have any idea what time it is?" he demanded, his voice booming over the murmur of the crowd. "I've tried calling the police twice because of the noise." Sarah tried to placate him, explaining it was a one-time celebration, and promised they would keep the volume down. Mr. Thompson wasn't convinced, but after some apologetic gestures, he finally left, grumbling about irresponsible kids. With that incident, the energy in the room shifted further. People whispered to each other about calling it a night, while Emily looked around, worried that the party she had once been so thrilled about was slipping out of control. To lighten the mood, Tom, an outgoing friend known for his sense of humor, decided to start a spontaneous karaoke session. Grabbing a hairbrush as a makeshift microphone, he jumped onto the coffee table, belting out a pop hit with dramatic flair. At first, his antics did bring some laughter, as a small crowd gathered around, recording videos and joining in. But Tom, in his excitement, stepped backward and tripped over the edge of the rug. The room fell silent as Tom crashed into the nearby coffee table, shattering the glasses and bottles that had been carefully arranged there. Shards of glass flew everywhere, cutting Tom's arm. Blood started to drip, and the guests looked on in horror, with a few people panicking and calling for first aid. Emily rushed to find a first aid kit, feeling the night spinning wildly out of her control. As the guests slowly trickled out, Emily surveyed her house, now littered with broken glass, spilled drinks, and burnt fabric. Her friends tried to reassure her, offering to stay and help clean up, but Emily was too exhausted and disheartened to continue. It wasn't the birthday celebration she'd envisioned, and all she could think of was how grateful she was that no one had been seriously hurt. Quieter, simpler moments with those who matter most. In the end, Emily, Sarah, and a few close friends stayed behind to clean up, picking up the pieces, both literally and figuratively, of the night gone wrong. Emily promised herself she'd keep future celebrations more intimate, having learned the hard way about the dangers of a party that spirals out of control. They laughed about it months later, recounting the night's disasters as a series of cautionary tales. But for Emily, the night remained a vivid reminder that sometimes the best memories come not from grand plans, but from the